The New York Times editorial board has endorsed Joe Biden. Hold on, let me put on my shocked face. Oh, goodness, Papa. The New York Times endorsed Joe Biden? Well, pinch me and call me Spanky, Papa. Gosh, golly gee. Why did they even bother? Like, we got it. Like, without them saying anything, we all assumed that they're endorsing Joe Biden. But the reason we're talking about this, is because they did it in the exact way that you would expect the New York Times to do it, which makes it more insufferable than if they said nothing. The New York Times editorial board endorsed Joe Biden's White House bid on Tuesday, throwing its support behind the former vice president 4 weeks before Election Day. The paper cast a potential Biden presidency as a jolt back to normalcy that could tap into decades of experience in Washington to unite a country riven with division. Riven? I don't know if I've ever seen that word written down. Mr. Biden has vowed to restore the soul of America. It is a painful reminder that the country is weaker, angrier, less hopeful, and more divided than it was 4 years ago. With this promise, Mr. Biden is assuring the public that he recognizes the magnitude of what the next president is being called upon to do. The editorial board wrote, in the midst of unrelenting chaos, Mr. Biden is offering an anxious, exhausted nation something beyond policy or ideology. His campaign is rooted in steadiness, experience, compassion, and decency. Let me make this as clear as possible. There is no such thing as offering something beyond policy or ideology. The whole ball game is policy and ideology. This is like saying, hey, the Lakers are bringing in a new player for the team, but don't worry, this is beyond basketball. The whole point is basketball. They're a basketball team. You're electing a president. This is politics. The root word being policy. Like, the whole point is, what are we going to do with the country? But this is too perfect because the people who work for the New York Times, they're not feeling the economic pain right now. That's why, notice everything I just read you. What came across to them, the big problem is, oh, we're so divided as a people, good sir, we need to unify, yes. Nobody cares about your, emotional perception of what's going on in the country. People can't pay the bills. What was it? Going back a few months now, it was 32 or 33% of the country couldn't pay their rent. And that number's only going up because we haven't had a stimulus. 28 million people on the brink of homelessness. I mean, it's just stunning that they can live in their own bubble so deep that they write an endorsement and they say things like, this is not about policy or ideology. It's about bringing together a divided country. Donald Trump won. You know who was in office right before him? Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Were we not divided when Biden was vice president? Of course we were divided. So why would you think we wouldn't be divided if Joe Biden becomes president? And none of the root problems that led to Trump have been addressed, and Biden is not going to even try to address any of the root problems that led to Trump, namely a failing political establishment that have been screwing people for decades. It's just I couldn't parody what they said anymore. Again, his campaign is rooted in steadiness, experience, compassion, and decency. Steadiness? The dude could barely put together a coherent sentence. His most famous moment in the debates was when he was talking about how put the record player on at night and let the kids hear words. Steadiness. Experience? Yeah, experience like the Iraq War. Miserable, terrible, war crime, Patriot Act, spying on everybody, outsourcing deals, NAFTA. Experience isn't by definition good. It depends what is the experience, and it's not good in the case of Joe. Compassion and decency. He's the architect of the modern mass incarceration crisis we have. Compassion and decency. Are you kidding me? I'll read you a little bit more real quick. President Biden would embrace the rule of law and restore public confidence in democratic institutions. He would return a respect for science and expertise to the government. He would stock his administration with competent, qualified, principled individuals. He would stand with America's allies and against adversaries and He would stand with America's allies and against adversaries that would seek to undermine democracy. He would work to address systemic injustices. The truest thing said there is he would stand with America's allies. That's the truest thing. Now, what does that mean? Yeah, we're going to go back to, well, we're still doing it. We never stopped doing it. You know, Trump might say certain things, but he's still giving Saudi Arabia a hand job daily. He's still giving Israel a hand job daily. Biden's just going to continue that. He's going to stand with our allies by unnecessarily giving billions of dollars to Israel, the apartheid state, and by helping Saudi Arabia continue their genocide in Yemen. That's not something to be proud of. He would stock his administration with competent, qualified, principled individuals. Principled. That's right. From 2008 to 2016, the government was full of principled people. It's not that Citibank gave Obama a list and said, here's who's going in your administration. And he said, yes, sir. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And Joe's going to do the same thing. He's going to bring in the industry. They literally won't even do a lobbyist ban in his administration. And then they hid behind identity. They were like, oh, well, there's a lot of black and brown lobbyists. I guess you might be racist if you don't want lobbyists in there. I don't know if they're the dumbest people in the world and they have West Wing brain, or if they're liars. But it's gross either way. Again, I don't want to come down too hard here because, yes, as I've said to you guys before, am I going to be mad at you if you vote Biden? Of course I'm not going to be mad at you. But there are ways to make the argument that are non-cringe, and there are ways to make the argument that are reasonable. I've heard good pro-Biden arguments. This is not that. If anything, this pisses me off more. As I said, if they said nothing, I would have assumed they endorsed Biden, and I wouldn't hate them as much. Instead, they endorsed him, and they did this garbage. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Like, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Who's going to read? Biden is going to restore the soul of America. Biden is going to need to be pumped up daily full of drugs to make sure he can speak in coherent sentences because he's on his way out skis. Now, that's the truth. You might not like the way that sounds, but that's the truth. So let's not stop bullshitting. We already have one of the worst bullshitters of all time, Trump, as president. And we're going to usher in the Biden era by being equal and opposite bullshitters. I really can't stand this dumb West Wing version of thinking where everything has to be this grandiose platitude-ridden speech. It's like, just say it. You want Biden because he's not Donald Trump. Just say it. That's what it is. You don't have to give me all this nonsense about he's rooted in steadiness and experience and compassion and decency. What does any of that mean? You're just saying words that sound good. That's it. I can't believe, everything pisses me off these days. There's nothing that I'm just reading. I'm like, yeah, okay. Everything pisses me off. This makes my blood boil. And I'm pretty sure that's clear to all of you now.